But now let's bring in the panel. One at least in one of our Brisbane stars tonight is Scott Emerson, who joins us out of Brisbane. Scott, good evening and welcome.
Hey, Jane, great to be with you tonight.
Terrific to have you. Look, plenty of news around, but I'm sure you, like me, was wondering if Kipchoge could do it and run the marathon in under 2 hours. We understand that, yes, it was a science experiment, very, very controlled conditions, but what an extraordinary feat, Scott.
Oh, look, it is extraordinary, Jane, and it's extraordinary to see how the time for the marathon has come down. Look, this is unofficial time, of course, because there were paces involved. It was a special track. He failed just narrowly a couple of years ago to get under the 2 hours, so he was very close, and then he's come 20 seconds under at this time. But it's extraordinary to see where it's come from. I can still remember as a uni student watching Robert De Castella, Deke, win the marathon in the Commonwealth Games. Now, about that stage in those days, this is in the early 80s, and I was at University of Queensland as a student. In those days, the marathon time was around 2 hours and 8-9 minutes or so. So to see it coming down, for people who don't run, they might not think that that's a lot of change in time. But you've got to understand that Kipchoge was running a kilometre at about 2 minutes and 50 seconds per kilometre. Now, I was just saying to the guys in the newsroom here at the Courier Mail tonight, I don't reckon I could run across the newsroom that fast, let alone just do it consistently for 42 Ks.
And I don't know if you got to see that, Scott, as you were coming into the studio, the reaction in his hometown, just extraordinary.
Yeah.
We know that because it was more of a science experiment, and, there are all sorts of questions about the people behind it, sort of really pushing this event. But he's done it. He's done it. He's proven that it can be done. He's proven that dreams can come true. And I think it's truly inspirational. Yes, it won't go into the record books as such, but for those of us who love his spirit and endeavour, it's a glorious evening, isn't it?
Oh, look, and I must admit, it's the one thing of the Olympics. As I've got older, probably the thing that I really enjoy about the Olympics tends to be the track and field and some of the other, the weightlifting, I guess. But the track and field, it's so clear that someone wins because they've beaten someone else. Some of the other events, they're wonderful events, of course, and got great fans out there. But often when I see there requires 10 judges to make a judgment call, as opposed to someone who just run faster and further and jump higher. They're the kind of events I love.
Look, just before we move on to the front pages, Scott, it does say that those shoes that he wore, the Nike Vaporfly, so effective that international runners sponsored by other countries have attempted to hide the fact that they're wearing them by drawing things over the sponsorship. So you can read all about the effort, the science, the money, and everything that went into it. He even ran in Vienna on a cool morning because they were trying to get as close as to where he lives so that he was running in ideal conditions, not too much travel, same time zone, perfect conditions, all of that. And it was just on a loop. You could sort of see that, I think, just on a loop. So not how you would normally run a marathon, but absolutely terrific. And thousands of his fans went to Vienna to watch him. Let's take a look at tomorrow's front pages, Scott. And I am very pleased to see that the Daily Telegraph has got dams front and centre. It says, give a dam, $1 billion plan to save bone-dry bush, 2 dam projects headline rescue package. That's all we've got because this is just the front pages. But we've talked about it a lot on Sky News, so too on 2GB, 4BC, 3AW, where I joined John Stanley weeknights. It's all anyone wants to talk about. Alan Jones has done a terrific job prosecuting the case. We've heard from drought-ravaged farmers. It has felt, I have to say to you, Scott, like the federal government doesn't get the emergency. It looks like there might be some movement, at least in New South Wales. Give me your views.
Oh, look, dams are such a crucial piece of infrastructure. I think if you're often in urban areas, you don't fully appreciate what it means to have that consistent, reliable supply of water there. And dams tend to be a catalyst for local communities as well, because they give that confidence to other businesses to come in. Unfortunately, I think across the board, over many years, over many governments, often of all persuasions and colours there, there has been a reluctance to get on with the dam projects. I know particularly in terms of the Labor governments, there's been an ideological opposition. We see that in Victoria, and I can tell you in Queensland,
where
clearly
there's
strong sections of the Labor Party. Well, but Victoria, exactly, that's right. Well, you know.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, and look, and in Queensland, you see the ideological, it's not popular in inner city Brisbane and the West End there. They don't like dams, therefore there's a strong push internally within the government not to proceed with these kind of projects. But you go out into regional and rural Queensland, where I've worked before, and talk to people out there, they understand the importance of dams, again, as I say, as a catalyst for all these other things that can occur.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, we're hearing it on Talkback Radio, and honestly, I think the Nats have been really flat-footed on this, but I think that the federal government thought it was just the regions. I can tell you, and I keep saying it, it is people in Sydney, it is people in Melbourne, it is people in Brisbane, people in Canberra who are calling in saying enough is enough, get it done. Don't worry about the Greens and all their objections, get it done.